Hi everyone, Jamie here with Sweet Pickins. Welcome to our home. I'm so glad you're here. All right, guys, so it is August, right? And it is 102 degrees here today. So, man, is it warm outside. So, we are inside, air's on, and we are crafting. So, I was making some little ghosts, and I thought, oh my gosh, I should bring you guys along and show you guys what I'm doing. So, crafters are always ahead of the game and the season and whatnot, so we're always crafting way ahead. So but for me, it is, the kids are going back to school next week. Not my kids are grown, so they're not going. Two of them are going to college, but that's in a few weeks. That starts a little later. However, the kids go back to school here on Monday, and it's always been a thing that the week the kids go back to school, I start decorating for fall. So I've just kept that tradition. So this week we're going to start getting out all our fall bins, and we are going to start pulling some things out. You can see a few things in the house now that's a little fall-y that I have added, but we're going to get out all our bins and start fall decorating this coming week. Now, fall in our house is part of August and then all of September. And then October 1st, we'll add a little bit of Halloween, and that will stay up till obviously November 1st. We take that down and we go into Christmas. So we start decorating October 1st outside, also for Halloween. And then September 1st is when we start decorating outside for fall. With an HOA, we're very careful because they are so strict on how early you decorate for fall. So we do wait till September 1st to put our stuff outside. So we are fall crafting. I've got a candle going, and it's just great because I'm working on a few things for our upcoming show next month. And it's a big show, and a lot of you guys come. So thank you guys so much for always coming. But we're gonna make some really cute bowl fillers or shelf sitters, whatever you want to call them. And they're going to be little ghosts. So let's get into the project. It's really a simple project, and it may not cost you anything. It depends on what you have. So I picked up a half a yard of this really thin terry material. It's really thin terry material. So I picked this up when it was on sale. However, if you don't have fabric, don't worry about it. Go to your closet. See what you can find in your closet or your kids' closet. You can use sweaters and socks and shirts and anything, quilts, old bedspreads, anything. So for me, when I make these, because I've made these many times, I like to use textured fabric. Now, I have to say, I've never used the terry cloth. So think of a towel. However, it's super duper thin, and I just loved the texture on this, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's try these this year. So I like my ghosts to be textured, and a couple reasons for that. First of all, if you're wanting to put them in a bowl filler or put them as a shelf sitter, you want them to have a little bit of structure. And I also like to use texture because it almost gives a little bit of interest, of character. You're gravitated towards that instead of just something really plain. So when you're picking out your fabric, just really think about what you would like. So for me, it's always texture. So I automatically go towards texture. Now, this is white. If you don't want a white ghost, if you want a ghost that looks a little more vintage or primitive, you can tea dye this, coffee dye it. You can use a paint bath. You can use a stamp or actual paint on this to grunge it out, make it look a little older, give it a little aged feel, vintage feel. You absolutely can do that. So we're today just gonna use the white fabric. We're not gonna do any aging on these. So you don't need a lot of stuff. Really, you do not need a lot of stuff. So you're gonna need whatever fabric you can find white. Then you're gonna need a few buttons. So I did go buy some buttons because I have a vintage jar full, and I just didn't have any small black buttons. I had bigger black buttons. I did have one small one, but I couldn't find another one. So I did purchase some black buttons. And then I've already threaded a needle and black thread. So you do need that. I'm using a glue gun. And then I am gonna just draw our pattern with a pen, and then we have a template which I just hand did. So let's start there. So you can find these on online. You can find a template online, or you can make your own. Very simple. This is really simple to make. It could be whatever you want your ghost to look like. You know, short and chubby, long. It doesn't have to be scalloped on the bottom. It could be plain, whatever you want. So this is all you. You know, you do what you like to do, but this is what I did for my template. So what I like to do, I already have a piece cut out because I have been making these. So we're just gonna go ahead and use that. So what I like to do is use a pen. Pencil will not work, and marker, you don't want to use a marker. Ideally, a marker is the best to use in your mind. However, you don't want it to bleed through, and if it bleeds through, it is going to, you're gonna be able to see it, and it's just gonna be yucky. So what I like to do is just use a pen. This is a ballpoint pen, and I want to trace this out. So you can trace this out just really lightly. I don't like to do it too heavy-handed, just lightly. You're not going to be able to see this pen mark. However, if you use a marker, it's going to bleed through, and then there's no way not to see it unless you cut it off and down. So you can see, so here it is right here. So I cut a piece like this because this is what we're going to do. We're going to be able to cut once and get two ghosts. So just take your fabric, make sure it's big enough, and then fold it over, and now you're gonna get two ghosts at the same time by cutting once. And then they're going to, you know, work and fit and just do good. Because sometimes if you do them separately, one's a little bigger, one's a little this or that. So it's, if you do it together, then they're gonna fit together. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you make a mistake and it just kind of doesn't, you know, come out how you wanted it, it's okay. We're gonna fill these with batting. And that is one thing I did not tell you guys. We are gonna need some batting. Now, if you don't have batting, I'm sure you have an old pillow. You can use an old pillow. If worse comes to worse, you can put all this remnant fabric in it, or you can use toilet paper or paper towels. So you don't have to have batting. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me show you this. So here's our ghost. It's a little, what's going on with this piece right here? This little, hang on, see there's a little piece sticking out. Hold on, let me get it. But honestly, guys, you don't have to worry about this because we're gonna trim in a minute. We are gonna trim. So, all right, so what we're gonna do is set this aside. Now, you're gonna take one of them, and the one that you trace, you're gonna flip over so that you cannot see any of your pencil mark. All right, then you're gonna get two buttons, and if you don't want to sew your buttons, you absolutely can use your hot glue gun and glue them. I absolutely cannot stand when the glue comes through the eyes. It drives me nuts. So I just would prefer to just quickly sew them. I think it looks a little more tailored. It looks a little more done. And honestly, it just will add a couple minutes to your project. No big deal. So I just there's no rhyme or reason. I just sew it until I feel like it's good. And you're gonna wanna do this before you glue because it's actually easier. Okay, so that one's done. Let me tie this off. Okay, and I'm actually not even going to cut this. I'm gonna let this stay. I'm gonna grab my other button. I'm gonna line it up, and I'm just gonna keep sewing. And honestly, guys, you will notice a difference when you sew opposed to when you use glue. It just looks more tailored. So honestly, with this, you could be sitting down doing this part while you're watching a show or a movie or something. You can do your eyeballs wonky where they don't have to be straight. One could be lower than the other. It's kind of whatever you want. If you want to give your ghost personality, then absolutely do that. Okay, so we're done with that. So let's tie this off on the back and then move on. Okay. That was worth it. So this is what they look like. Cute, huh? All right, so now what I like to do is I like to line it up. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue it. And we're just gonna put an even ribbon down. I like to do the sides first. And I like to go about 1/4 of an inch in so that I have a little trimming room. So I like to do part of the top and then down the sides. And then I like to do the other side of the top, or the other side of the top part, and then down on the sides. So essentially what you're doing is you're leaving the bottom open. Now, if you want to glue this, whip stitch this or sew it, have at it. Have fun with doing that. If you like to do that, do it. I think it's great. I just don't want to add that extra time. So this is what it looks like right now. Cute, huh? So then what I like to do is go in, especially if you're using a textured fabric, I like to go in with my scissors and just get any like hangover, any remnants, any frays, or any tatters, or anything that you've got going on. Again, this does not have to be perfect. If crafting had to be perfect, crafting would not be fun. I mean, that's just my opinion, but. Okay. So I like to do all the trimmings. So there's all the trimmings. See how I did the eyes, just a little higher than the other. It just gives it a little personality. None of them are the same. Some I do straight across, some I do really a lot lower. So, okay, so both of the top and both of the sides are glued down. So now what we're gonna carefully do is we're going to put our batting in. Again, you can find something else to put in here if you don't have batting. And I just like to use my finger for this, but be gentle because you don't want to be so rough and push out the glue or break the seal on the glue. So I'll just take some small amounts of the batting and just kind of work it in there. And just, you could do it really, really firm. You could do them a little more slouchy. It's really personal preference. And you could do these any size. So what I like to do is I kind of like to play with this a little, see what it looks like. Okay, push your batting down in, and then you're gonna put a ribbon of glue. You're gonna push your batting down in. And then you're just gonna kind of hold it. And you'll have another opportunity, especially with terry cloth. This really does fray a lot. You should see the mess that's on here. So I'll just go back through one more quick time, get all these frayed pieces. Okay. Now, if you want, you can add like a cute little bow, a ribbon, some twine, a bow up here. I want to keep mine plain. I don't want to add anything. So here is our little ghost. Not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. And then the back is done. These people absolutely love these because now you can tuck them into your decor. You could put them in your, tiered trays. You could put them on your mantle. They're just simple and easy. If you have a friend that absolutely loves Halloween, you can put this on top of a card, or do a little care package or whatever and just add a few of these. These are just the cutest little bowl fillers. That's what we call them around here, bowl fillers. But you could do them big, small. You could do a whole family where there's some big ones and some little ones and all the things. The eyes can be glued on. They could be anything. They don't even have to be buttons. There's lots and lots of things you can use for eyes. So that's it. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. So I'm gonna sit here and make a whole army of these, and I promise they're gonna end up being all different, and that is how yours are gonna be, and that is perfect. So thank you so much. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel, tell your friends about us. We're trying to get our subscribers up. And then don't forget, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Instagram and Facebook, Sweet Pickins Reno, Pickins Reno. That is like, we do a lot of stories, behind the scenes, all the different things. And then there's the website, shopsweetpickins.com, where we have some decorating ideas, and we have a blog, and we have a fun place for you to shop. And we are adding fall currently, and I am currently working on switching the website over. I'm hoping to have it done by Sunday evening. So I have been working on that. So once it's all done, it will be released out, and all the spring and summer and all those kind of flowers and everything will go away, and then we will concentrate on fall. So guys, thank you again so much for joining me. I will see you guys on the next video.